Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Master Morosa also felt that Luo Feng was too affected, considering it was just an illusion technique from the true god of void space. Luo Feng glanced at the woman in black and nodded, "You may leave now." Musician Su Ye takes her leave. The black-clad musician, Su Ye, respectfully withdrew. Luo Feng paid no attention to Morosa, nor to the green-robed attendant on the side, and drank alone. In the huge hall, for a moment neither Morosa nor the green-robed attendant dared to make a sound. Luo Feng silently drank, his eyes deep. His will was currently enduring the honing of the 7 emotions of heart refining technique. Just like steel needs to be forged and struck repeatedly, a creature needs to go through setback after setback to gradually grow. The same goes for the will. It needs to be tempered over and over again. The stronger the tempering, if the will does not collapse, it will become even stronger. The 7 emotions of heart refining technique is special as it tempers one's own will with various emotions. As the secret technique is activated, intense feelings surge and continuously assault the will. I have cultivated for too long, my emotions have become deeper and more restrained. Who would have thought that in this dream flower tower, I would return to the time when my emotions were most intense, reminisced Luo Feng. Within the Lai Yuan technique, there are various secret techniques for cultivating will. I had long chosen the Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique to temper my will. I have already practiced it numerous times during my retreat of over an epoch. This secret technique has a high upper limit, while the 7 emotions of heart refining technique ultimately has its limits. After all, I cannot always be in the midst of emotional turmoil, otherwise, I would go mad, thought Luo Feng. The Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique is about using the mood of utter destruction of all things to grind away at the will. What Luo Feng needed to do was to resist with his will. Because Morosa inherently mastered the destruction of the origin, Luo Feng could directly observe and even attempt to condense the mood of great destruction, making the secret technique highly effective. Destruction of the origin is on the same level of existence as the life origin of the primordial cosmos. Enslaving a sector beast to directly observe destruction of the origin, Luo Feng naturally chose the Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique as his main practice. However, those memories are indeed beautiful. Luo Feng's emotions gradually stabilized. Is this musician, Su Ye, the one who most strongly affects emotions with illusion techniques from your dream flower tower? Suddenly asked Luo Feng. Upon hearing the question, the green-robed attendant promptly replied, "Our dream flower tower's strongest illusion techniques naturally come from the tower master, but she only occasionally hosts the 100 Flowers banquet, and only invited guests can participate. Among the other musicians, there are more than 10 who are close to musician Su Ye's level." Luo Feng nodded, "Let them come and play their music." "Very well," said the green-robed attendant, feeling a bit puzzled inside. Why would an eternal true god care so much about illusion techniques from a true god of void space level? In Huyang City, there were some eternal true gods who liked the Dream Flower Tower Master, and there were even a very few who were madly infatuated with her. But it was unheard of for an eternal true god to particularly fancy illusionists of the true god of void space level. But since Luo Feng had commanded it, the green-robed attendant naturally went to arrange it immediately. While Luo Feng was practicing the 7 emotions of heart refining technique, he continuously experienced the illusion techniques of these musicians. Although they all came from the same tradition, each had their own strengths. Some even created an illusory world, making Luo Feng a part of the story within that world. "Supreme One, are you satisfied with these musicians?" the green-robed attendant inquired. "Our Dream Flower Tower has several other interesting novelties. The musician's illusion techniques are just one of them. Today, I have had my fill. I shall return another time, said Luo Feng as he got up. He glanced at a petite woman covered with leaves, who appeared a bit shy. Named Araya, she was a plant creature from the land of origin. Her music had a special charm that stirred Luo Feng's emotions the most intensely, far surpassing the other musicians. This musician Araya is very good. Saying this, Luo Feng casually threw a grain of sand that seemed ordinary, but instantly drew the gaze of many creatures present. Cosmic sand, the green-robed attendant exclaimed, swiftly adding, Supreme One, all expenses tonight at the Dream Flower Tower are on us. You need not see a thnovelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I dislike taking unfair advantage, Luo Feng stated as he walked out. Morosa then swept up the nearby wine jug with a wave of his hand and quickly followed Luo Feng, not without glancing at the piece of cosmic sand left on the table. Since my master has given it, you'd better accept it quickly. The green-robed attendant then picked up the cosmic sand, admiring the nascent universe contained within it and marveled. The night's expenses were actually just over 2,000 primal chaos crystals, but Luo Feng's piece of cosmic sand was worth far more. Araya, the Supreme One is very pleased with your music. A reward of 10 primal chaos crystals, said the green-robed attendant. Thank you, Steward Yulu, the plant creature Araya exclaimed joyfully, bowing in gratitude. The other musicians could only look on with envy. They only received the basic service fee, while Araya obviously won the favor of that eternal true god the most. Asterisk 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 asterisk. At the deepest part of the Dream Flower Tower's grand formation lay an unassuming little tower. A figure in a loose robe stood there, overlooking almost the entire Dream Flower Tower, taking everything in view. Master, said the green-robed attendant respectfully, that eternal true god has left, and he also paid with a cosmic sand. The Dream Flower Tower master nodded slightly. Tell me all his information in detail. Yes, the green-robed attendant respectfully began. His servant had visited us multiple times before, but this unfamiliar eternal true god was here for the first time. He seemed to only care about the music and illusion techniques at the Dream Flower Tower. Those musicians are all true gods of void space, so theoretically, their impact on an eternal true god should be very minimal, said the green-robed attendant. But he seems to really enjoy it. Even to the point of shedding tears upon listening. It is indeed quite inconceivable, the green-robed attendant, who was also confused, added. And from what he said, he will come again. With a light smile, the Dream Flower Tower master said, every creature is unique. This unfamiliar eternal true god may just be more susceptible to emotional fluctuations. If those musicians' illusion techniques have such an influence on him, if the Tower Master were to take action personally, the green-robed attendant whispered, he might develop an ardent obsession with the Tower Master. The Dream Flower Tower Master looked out the window. Over the eons, only 2 eternal true gods had developed an infatuation with her. After all, eternal true gods have extraordinary wills. Even if they get immersed temporarily, they would revert to their senses once the illusion was over. Very few would truly become enamored with her. When he comes next time, tell him that I will hold 100 flowers banquet in 10 days and invite him to attend, the Dream Flower Tower Master said softly. Yes, Tower Master, the green-robed attendant replied respectfully. A day in the land of origin is very long, and Luo Feng, over the following days, aside from cultivation, was taken by Morosa to various places for different types of consumption, broadening his horizons. When Luo Feng returned to the Dream Flower Tower, he also received an invitation. Supreme, the green-robed attendant greeted him enthusiastically. My Tower Master will host the 100 Flowers banquet in 10 days. Many eternal true gods from Huyang City will be invited, and the Tower Master has also invited the Supreme to attend. The Dream Flower Tower Master's 100 Flowers banquet. Luo Feng was surprised. In 10 days. Yes, in 10 days. It might be several eras before the Tower Master holds the next 100 Flowers banquet, said the green-robed attendant. Luo Feng smiled. Since I'm invited, I would be happy to attend and look forward to witnessing the Tower Master's mastery over illusion techniques. May I ask for the Supreme's honored name? The 100 Flowers banquet requires some preparations in advance, the green-robed attendant said. Luo Feng replied. The green-robed attendant made a point to remember this name firmly. This 100 Flowers banquet was actually for this very eternal true god Luo He before him. If Luo He became fervently enamored with the Dream Flower Tower Master, then her influence in Huyang City would naturally increase. Asterisk 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 asterisk. On the outskirts of the primordial cosmos, the mountain-sitting guest was very reclusive, hardly interacting with other true gods. At the moment, he left his own small cosmos and headed toward Luo Feng's. It's only been over 10,000 eras since I left the land of origin, but time flows tens of thousands of times faster in the regions of the primordial cosmos. I have waited here for far too long. Throughout this elongated time, I've remained but a true god. And made no progress in strength, lamented the mountain-sitting guest, his ancient face tinged with desolation, as he endured the torment of time's passage. Thinking this, the mountain-sitting guest continued his journey towards Luo Feng's small cosmos, and finally, he could vaguely see that vast cosmos. The mountain-sitting guest paused, his eyes widening as he carefully observed Luo Feng's small cosmos. The rate of primal chaotic current absorption has slowed down significantly, said the mountain-sitting guest, somewhat excited. It looks like Luo Feng's godly body has finally grown to its limit. His small cosmos, spanning hundreds of billions of light-years in diameter, absorbs vast amounts of primal chaotic energy every moment. Having continued for so long, the accumulated total should put his godly body between 15 and 20 billion kilometers tall in the land of origin, calculated the mountain-sitting guest. As the former god King Jin, he was very accurate in estimating energy scales. Good. Excitement filled the mountain-sitting guest's eyes. With such a massive godly body, far surpassing his peers, once he becomes a godly king, even if 10 or 8 godly kings joined forces, they couldn't compare to him in terms of divine power advantage. With Luo Feng, there's hope for my revenge, thought the mountain-sitting guest, harboring endless hatred. Everything he valued most had been destroyed by the 3 sovereigns of Shi Kingdom. His sister-in-law and wife, his friends and brothers, his many fellow disciples. All were gone. From that day on, the mountain-sitting guest had only one thought: revenge. For this, he spared no expense. Everything he did in the primordial cosmos was for this single goal. Fortunately, he had cultivated Luo Feng. My strength is much weaker than that of Tian Kuan, the leader of the 3 sovereigns of Shi Kingdom. I only managed to escape death by relying on a secret treasure. A direct confrontation is impossible for me, the mountain-sitting guest was well aware. Only with Luo Feng's growth do I hold hope for vengeance. Just with the enormous advantage of his godly body, Luo Feng should be able to overwhelm the 3 sovereigns of Shi Kingdom, the mountain-sitting guest muttered to himself. After Luo Feng set off on his reincarnation journey to the land of origin, the mountain-sitting guest continued to stay in the primordial cosmos region, intending to understand the divine power capacity of Luo Feng's godly body. Now, the mountain-sitting guest was reassured. It's time to prepare for my reincarnation. I've been away from the land of origin far too long. The mountain-sitting guest immediately headed toward his own small cosmos, and began his final preparations, before his reincarnation attempt. Night had just fallen when Luo Feng and Morosa arrived at Dream Flower Tower. It seems we are the earliest to arrive, Luo Feng said leisurely as he sat down. Morosa taking a seat to one side, surrounded by buildings shaped like blossoms, with numerous attendants waiting outside each structure. The green-robed attendant said with a smile, "Supreme, the other guests should be arriving soon." "Ha ha. I must be the earliest one again." A mountainous figure flew into the area with a hearty laugh, with the attendant who was responsible for receiving him tossed aside. "Oh?" the mountainous figure exclaimed in surprise as he looked towards Luo Feng, someone's earlier. Luo Feng observed this mountainous figure, as the green-robed attendant introduced him, "Supreme, this is one of the top artifact refining masters in Huyang City, the sect leader of Heavenly Flame Sect, Shong Qianyang." "Ha ha, which divine monarch is this?" Shong Qianyang approached with a warm smile. Luo Feng also stood up. "Brother Luo, he must be new to Huyang City," Shong Qianyang said with a smile. "If you don't mind, how about we sit together?" "Please." Luo Feng too was fond of making friends, having come to the land of origin to see more of the world. He glanced at Morosa, who obediently moved to the farthest corner. After all, he was only a true god of void space on the surface, and shouldn't sit too close to two eternal true gods. "I, Shong Qianyang, love making friends in Huyang City. I always wish to befriend any new eternal true god," Shong Qianyang said as he sat down. "Indeed. I have just arrived in Huyang City, and can count the number of friends I've made on one hand," Luo Feng said. "Today, you've gained one more friend in me," Shong Qianyang said with a laugh. "If Brother Luo he encounters any trouble in Huyang City in the future, feel free to see me. After all, I specialize in artifact refining, having connections with various forces." Luo Feng nodded. To be one of the top in artifact refining in Huyang City, Brother Shong's strength is indeed remarkable. He had practiced the body refining secret technique, Primal Chaos Great Strength Diagram, which is a body refinement method. Since a godly body can recover even after damage, the difficulty of body refining is somewhat lower than that of artifact refining. Even so, it was a considerable effort for Luo Feng to thoroughly understand the first level of the Primal Chaos Great Strength Diagram, foundation building. This made him all the more admire those genuine artifact refining masters. "We all have our strengths," Shong Qianyang said humbly with a smile. While they were talking, a winged man flew in, naturally exuding a decadent air. No one paid him any heed as he entered a building on his own and sat down to drink by himself. "That eternal true god's name is Sang Shuiyun," Shong Qianyang said. "He's one of the eternal true gods, who always comes to Dreamflower Tower's 100 Flowers banquet, along with me. We are love rivals." "Love rivals?" Luo Feng asked in surprise. Shong Qianyang shook his head with a sigh. "Unfortunately, while I have intentions, the Dreamflower Tower Master is heartless." Luo Feng found it interesting that both of these eternal true gods were pursuing the Dreamflower Tower Master. "You'll understand the charm of the Dreamflower Tower Master when you see her," Shong Qianyang said, suddenly noticing another arriving eternal true god. This eternal true god was formed by condensing mist, their figure obscure and hard to see, with only one eye calmly observing the surroundings. "Who might this be?" Luo Feng asked curiously. Shong Qianyang whispered, "That's Lord Bai Wu of the Six Lords Alliance." Luo Feng was puzzled. The Six Lords Alliance is one of the covert forces in Huyang City, Shong Qianyang explained. It's said that these six eternal true gods often cultivated and sparred together, eventually forming the Six Lords Alliance. They are one of the 19 dark forces in Huyang City. 19 dark forces. Luo Feng nodded. "Haven't you purchased any detailed information about Huyang City?" Shong Qianyang asked. "No," Luo Feng shook his head. Had he done so, it would have been too boring. A journey of cultivation is about the surprises. The official powers in Huyang City are the city owner's mansion, the Huyang Guards, and Huyang's 10 Great Legions. These official powers are mainly managed by the 5 great families. Zhong Qianyang explained with simplicity. Each of the 5 great families has an extraordinary background, some even being of the royal family. Luo Feng nodded, as this was something he understood. In the Yu Kingdom, there were 5 godly kings, and their family members, accumulated over the long years, were numerous. Naturally, they would be sent to various primal chaos prefectures to occupy some high-ranking positions. The official forces are led by the 5 great families. They have formidable strength and terrifying backgrounds. But in this world, ultimately, strength is what speaks. No matter how intimidating the background, it's not as reliable as real, tangible strength. That's why the forces formed by some eternal true gods naturally influence the entire Huyang city. The 19 dark forces also permeate Huyang city. Even the residents of Huyang have to pay a residence fee to them, Zhong Qianyang said. Besides these forces, there are many weaker families. Most of them are simply conducting business, engaging in alchemy, artifact refining, or establishing sects. We, the independent eternal true gods, have much less influence, Zhong Qianyang said cheerfully. We're also not interested in competing for control over Huyang city. Luo Feng nodded in understanding. From what he knew, the sum of the casual and ordinary family eternal true gods in a large city exceeded the number of official and dark powers. There are also some major forces from the land of origin with branches in Huyang city, and while the branches may be ordinary, they can call upon some terrifying experts at any time. Zhong Qianyang shook his head. The waters here are too deep. Once you get involved, you could lose your life at any moment. Luo Feng found his newly made friend, Zhong Qianyang, quite interesting. Brother Luo, which faction do you belong to? Zhong Qianyang asked. None, Luo Feng replied. When I came to Huyang city, I just brought a servant with me. Zhong Qianyang laughed. You've just come to Huyang city. It's very easy for some forces to exploit you. I'll give you some intelligence. You'd better be careful and keep an eye out. As he spoke, he flicked his finger, and a stream of light flew towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked at the rather detailed intelligence report. Such information would normally cost at least 10 cosmic sands. Thank you, Brother Zhong, Luo Feng said. It's nothing. Zhong Qianyang suddenly looked outside. There are quite a number of eternal true gods who have come this time. 2 from the 5 great families have come, too. Luo Feng looked over. 2 figures in purple and gold flew in. They each had 3 eyes and extremely sharp tails covered with purple and gold scales. They scanned the area with their eyes, but did not interact with any eternal true gods. Instead, they flew towards a certain spot. The 2 eternal true gods from the Tsuming clan of the 5 great families. Zhong Qianyang exclaimed in surprise. It's rare for the royal family to visit the Dream Flower Tower. With the detailed intelligence that Luo Feng had received, he already knew that among the 5 great families, 2 were royal families, and that Tsuming clan was the family of godly King Tsuming of the 5 great godly kings of Yu Kingdom. With a godly king as their guardian, through endless ages of procreation, producing countless descendants, and with vast resources for cultivation, the Tsuming clan naturally had a large number of elites. The 5 great families have eternal true gods coming too. That is indeed rare. The charm of the Dream Flower Tower Master is indeed extraordinary. The other eternal true gods, who were present, were also chatting leisurely and couldn't help but pay attention to the 2 eternal true gods from the Tsuming clan. After all, the Tsuming clan had a godly king behind them. Who wouldn't envy that? As the music sounded, the eternal true gods present all fell silent and looked towards the figure emerging from the void. The Dream Flower Tower Master. Luo Feng gazed from a distance. The Dreamflower Tower Master's godly body seemed to be a manifestation of the laws of enchantment, naturally drawing the attention of every eternal true god present, even making Luo Feng see the shadow of his wife, Xu on her. Such a powerful godly body, does every eternal true god see their most favored traits when they look at her? Luo Feng mused, having already understood from the intelligence given by Shong Qianyang, yet still somewhat astonished. Tonight, there are 15 eternal true gods who have come to participate in the 100 Flowers banquet. This is also the honor of Dreamflower, the Dreamflower Tower Master said, her voice echoing everywhere and in the souls of every eternal true god. I have newly composed a melody, and I ask all eternal true gods to appreciate it. In attendance, there were 2 eternal true gods from the Tsuming clan of the 5 great families, 5 true gods from the 19 great dark forces, and 8 others, including Luo Feng and Shong Qianyang, making up a total of 15 eternal true gods participating in the 100 Flowers banquet. The music rang out between heaven and earth, and snowflakes naturally began to flutter in the night. The world in the vision of Luo Feng and the others began to change. Such an impressive musical illusion technique. Luo Feng could feel the strength of the Dreamflower Tower Master's illusion technique, which was far superior to the one that his previously most satisfactory Araya employed. But for Luo Feng, who had the primal chaos pinnacle will, such a musical illusion technique still had a limited impact. Her musical illusion technique is obviously much stronger. If I don't use the 7 emotions of heart refining technique, this music has no effect on me. But once I use it, I'm afraid I won't be able to withstand it. Luo Feng was a little worried. Listened to the melodies of musicians like Araya with the 7 emotions of heart refining technique, and felt his emotions surge, and his eyes fill with tears. Under the Dreamflower Tower Master's musical illusion technique, if he still used the 7 emotions of heart refining technique, he would definitely be more deeply immersed and might even lose his composure. Morosa, protect me while I practice, Luo Feng communicated telepathically. Morosa, who was eating and drinking alone in a corner, looked up and hurriedly responded mentally, Master, rest assured, I will protect you diligently. The Dreamflower Tower Master's musical illusion technique only enveloped the 15 eternal true gods. Those servants and attendants were not privileged enough to be served by the Dreamflower Tower Master's efforts. Resolving his will, Luo Feng then used the 7 emotions of heart refining technique. With the secret technique in operation, the original music he was listening to suddenly increased its power exponentially, plunging Luo Feng completely into the world of the soul at once. The 2 eternal true gods from the Tsuming clan listened to the melody. It's mediocre at best, far inferior to some performances at the royal capital. You can listen to it. However, in terms of emotional impact, it's far less than our family's 100 Calamities melody. As they listened and drank, their discussion showed that the music's impact on them was minimal. See a thnovelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Most of the eternal true gods present were rather enjoying themselves. 2 eternal true gods, Shong Qianyang and Sang Shuiyun, who were infatuated with the Dreamflower Tower Master, were so immersed in the music that their faces were marked with tears of emotion. Luo Feng, who was originally sitting cross-legged and listening, had now lost control. His invisible aura spread out, silently shattering the table in front of him, which startled Morosa in the corner, and even the green-robed attendant was surprised. Supreme Lord Luo He. Fortunately, the building was enveloped by a formation, keeping it intact. Who is this unknown eternal true god? To lose control during a 100 Flowers banquet. The other eternal true gods present were all surprised. Even Shong Qianyang, who was sitting beside Luo Feng and deeply immersed, opened his eyes and looked at Luo Feng. He was moved to tears, but he still maintained a clear perception of the outside world and was very far from losing control. Has my friend, Brother Luo He, immersed himself so deeply. Xiong Qianyang couldn't believe it. This video will end here.